Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patient First podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bryan Laskin. And as always, I'm excited that you're here. And we have an amazing guest today. Shelia Taylor is the heart of the driving force behind patient-centered pediatric dental care in Texas. With 24 years of dedicated service in the field, Shelia has worn many hats, from recare specialist to treatment coordinator to systems administrator, and now as the esteemed chief operating officer of Kennedy Dental Care. I'm happy that you're on the podcast. Thank you, Shelia, so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Bryan. I'm happy to be on. Yes, I'm excited to share my story today. Yes.
Well, let's start there. I mean, you've had an esteemed career in dentistry already. So could you talk a little bit about how you got to where you are now?
Okay. So, really, my story is a little different than some of the others. I originally, when I got out of high school, I thought, you know what? I'm going to be a dental assistant. I'm going to work for my dentist that I grew up with. That's who I'm going to work for. I love him. I'm going to do it. And I went to work for him for a few months and I thought, oh no, this is not for me. I do not want to do dental assisting, even though I loved it. And when I was 6 years old, they let me make appointments for the patients when I was there. I wrote in their peg book appointments. So if anyone ever did an audit years later, they're going to see my handwriting. They would have seen my handwriting in there where I would make the appointments at age 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the entire time that I had gone to my dentist. I'd ask them, "Can I answer the phone, Shug?" And she goes, "Of course." So I'd say, "Dr. Stakely's office, this is Sheila." A little 6-year-old answering because she taught me how to do it. And I thought, man, this is fun. I love this.
I have to pause you right now because dental offices are so understaffed right now. This is not, you can't institute child labor and have 6-year-olds answering your phones, right? It just, but
No,
but
you
but it's an amazing
cannot.
story. It's a
You
different
cannot.
time frame, right? Was it?
But that was actually the foundation of it. That was really the reason why I decided that really dental was for me, and actually in relationships and building relationships with people and becoming a people person on top of that. So then I did work for Dr. Stakely for about 6 months, and I thought, "No, no, this is not for me." I said, "So guess what?" Then my dad was an entrepreneur, a business owner, so I worked for him and I managed apartment building and laundry units, and my husband and I bought a restaurant, so we ran a 24-hour truck stop restaurant for many years. Then I decided that we were gonna move from our West Texas town to Dallas, Fort Worth, and I thought, "Well, I'll just go back to dental. I'll do it now. It's been a few years, we'll do this." And so they all wanted everybody with at least a year's experience. Well, I only had 6 months. I thought, "Well, guess I won't do that." So I worked for a pharmacy chain in their main office, and then we sold that. We broke up the pharmacy, so I went with a pharmacy, and I managed 2 pharmacies for a while, and I decided, "Well, this is really demanding. I'd rather have something a little more easier." So I went to work with an insurance company with Transport Life Insurance. Then I went to Chicago Life, New York Life, and, California Life. So I worked with them for several years, learned a lot about franchise billing and also a lot of accounting and a lot of actually meeting with agents and talking to them and talking to, like, clients and subscribers. And then I had my child, and we moved to our South Texas area where my husband's job was transferred, and I stayed home for a while, and I thought, "Okay, this is good." So, doing the motherly thing, you'd go to Mother's Day out, you'd go to the library club, and you would go to all these things, and so they talked me into work for a municipality, the local city office, and I thought, "Sure, I'll fill in for somebody." So I filled in for them, then they hired me at another office. They said, "No, we want you to come to work for us at this city office." And I thought, "Well, I really okay, I'll do it." So I worked for them for a while, for about 5, 6 years, and then I thought, "I wanna live in Corpus." My husband said, "You wanna live in Corpus? You need to find a job in Corpus." I thought, Go back to dental for the 3rd time." Go in and I meet Dr. Kennedy, and they said, "Well, we'd really rather have someone who's had recent experience." And I said, "Well, that's okay, not a problem." I just went to the next one, and so I went to an orthodontist, and I was gonna start to work with them. I'd already did the working interview, it was great. I thought, "This is fun, I like this, I could do this, no problem." Told her, "Yes, I'll take the job." 2 days before I was supposed to start, Dr. Kennedy calls me. He goes, "Hey, Sheila," he goes, "we would love for you to come in. I'd like to talk to you about a recare specialist in the office." And I thought, I don't know what a recare specialist is, but sure, I'll talk to you about it. You don't have to work on Saturdays. So I go in and I talk to him, and they're telling me about it. And I thought, well, I've already taken this other job, but let me go ahead and let them know that I'm not going to take it, and I'll go ahead and come to work for y'all. And so I did. So I started out as a recare specialist, not knowing even what Dentrix was at all, and in a busy office with 3 pediatric dentists. And they just set me in a corner and said, "Here you go. There it is. Call these patients and get them scheduled." And I thought, okay, I guess I'll figure out how to do that. So I did. And so I watched everybody around and I thought, I could do that check in. I probably do that checkout too. And then we had an orthodontist, and I thought, "Oh, I could do ortho too. This is great. I can do any of this stuff." And then one of the girls was gonna go on sick leave, and they said, "Sheila, will you actually man the front office for ortho?" And I thought, "Sure, just tell me what I need to do." So I jumped in that chair, did that for a while she was out, like about 6 to 8 weeks. Still did recare, watched everything else. Then they let me do the front desk for the check-in, and then they said, "Well, you know what? We're building a new office. We want you to go to the new office, and we want you to be our treatment coordinator." I thought, "Oh, I love doing that. That's great. I love talking to people and I could never do the dental work, but I could explain to them the reason why they need it and help them find a way to pay for it." And I thought at the end of the day, I felt good when I left because I know the patients and the parents left happy and they felt served and they were able to find a way to take care of their children. And I thought, this is good. It touched my heart. And the doctors that I work with were very, very amazing. And their heart was in the right place to take care of the kids and making sure that they're taken care of. And I thought, this is good for me. So I did that for many years and found ways to make it work better for our practices. I trained all of our treatment coordinators coming in as we grew from 2 office to 3 office, 4 office, 5 office, 6 office, 10 offices. So I trained the ortho team, I trained the front desk, I trained the treatment coordinator, I helped with all the insurance, I looked at the systems of how to make it better for us, also in our computer systems, how could I tweak things to make it more efficient for us as well? So then Dr. Kennedy had said, "Sheila," he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "We would love to have you do a little more, but we're afraid to take you from that treatment coordinator desk." And I said, "But I could probably still do that as well." So I said, "But I could train the teams to keep doing the same thing that I do." And I said, "They'll never be me, and I don't want them to be me. I'd want them to be themselves, but basically give them the tools and the skills really to be able to train them. They may not know dentistry when they come in, but we could train them and teach them if they have a personality to go with it and be understanding, have empathy, and be compassionate and really care for the kids." And I thought, really, it would work for us. So then we created where I was in the systems, and then it was like then it just sort of evolved. They said, "You know what? Why don't we put you in operations? Because you could help us with all of our offices everywhere and travel to these offices." And I thought, all right, that sounds good. I could do this. Not really knowing what operations really was. I just intuitively just do it. Like my boss told me yesterday, he goes, "You just look at it and you know exactly what to do. There's no training. It just comes natural to you." And I said, "I guess it does. Maybe it's the way I was raised." And I thought, "I don't know." I said, "It does. It's like it's easy for me to understand it and to really see that the big picture." And it was so I thought, "Okay, this is good." So I've been in operations for about 3 years of running ten offices. We just acquired another office, and we also have surgery center that we work out of that we're part owners in, and we work out of a hospital, a local hospital as well. So we have a lot of team members. I have about 125 who work for us. We have 27 doctors and we have rotating doctors. So we have doctors that rotate from office to office. So keeping all these schedules and doctors going everywhere and trying to find that systems that actually work for that is a tough job really on top of that because that's why I go to conferences. I'm looking at every system that's out there. I'm evaluating to see how could that work for us? How could that help others? Because the owner, we've been in business for 53 years. He goes, "You know what, Sheila, over all the years that we've been here," he said, He says, dental offices have been behind. And he goes, and we need to be able to help our dental peers and help them to do better. So I want you to be out there looking to find out what is the best for not only pediatrics, how about general dentistry? How about oral surgery? How about endodontics? All these systems that could work for us to make us all more efficient and be able to provide patient care to the excellent standards that we want to do. So that's basically in a nutshell what I do every day. And I go into the offices and I'm a team leader as well. I come in and I help, and I want to upbring our other teams as well so they could be able to be a lead of an office. They could be an office manager, they could be a clinical lead. Help them and guide them so they can continue to grow because I was allowed to grow with Kennedy Dental as well. Yes.
That's fantastic. I know I've not heard your story before, much like a lot of people listening or watching this right now, right?
Mhm.
And I have a lot of things that I'd love to highlight in your journey and a couple questions for you
Sure.
because some of this, like you even said yourself, it just comes so naturally to you that I think a lot of other people can learn from your experience. So number one, you mentioned a few times in when you're describing your career, kind of like feeling good about doing right by patients.
Mhm.
And obviously that's it's called the Patient First podcast. I feel like for you that probably just comes naturally and that comes through as sort of core belief of helping people, which I think most people in dentistry do. But
Right.
if not, it's I think problematic. But that's been at the forefront of kind of what you've done through your entire career. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, I really do. I feel like it was because it's natural. And also with training teams that are coming in, they may not have that in them to begin with, but you can train them to understand the reason why. Because they want to be treated the same way themselves. So let's make sure that we treat our patients the same that we would want to be treated. And
Absolutely.
so in
And
order to
that's
do
going to be
that,
one of my questions for sure. I mean, I was going to ask you. Well, I want to highlight another thing that you said. So
right,
number one, kind of at your core, kind of having a why or the philosophy of. I think most people in dentistry, I would think, their why is helping people. Secondary to that, systems, right, which is not as common in dentistry. That's you and I have a shared like. Let's just make things more efficient. That's certainly sort of that's and leveraging technology and tools to help people do what you were talking about before, which help people, right?
right. That's right. And exactly. Technology is the way to go. Because I mean, by having your technology is then it allows you as a person to be able to really, I mean, give that patient the experience that they deserve, really, and
Yeah.
utilize the technology to help you with that. So work smarter, not harder.
Oh, it's
And
100%.
really, that's it. Really, that is, I mean, it's very common sense that you want to work smart, not harder, and provide what is needed to our patients and our parents. And then really, I mean, and leave at the end of the day and feel good.
It's common sense, but it's not human nature. Human
That's it.
nature is to do what you did yesterday tomorrow, not make a change,
That's
right?
right.
And because there you have to burn calories. Now, even if the new way is better in every single way, right? It's human nature to do what's you did before.
That's
But at
right.
some point, somebody has to put down the stone tablet and pick up a piece of paper, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, that's great. But one of the sort of exceptional things that I think you glossed over in your story, because I have worked with many phenomenal people in dentistry, and this is a challenge that I kind of wonder about because it is relatively uncommon for to meet a COO of a DSO who comes from a deep dental background or even a deep service background like you've had.
Mhm.
Usually it's somebody who's been in finance or business and 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 I think that those there's great COOs all over the place. However, I believe there's a distinct lack of leadership in dentistry from people who have worked at the practice level. Let me put it that way right? I meet a lot of people who are running large DSOs that have no idea anything about dentistry other than they're kind of in the business of dentistry. And I think that is problematic for the industry, maybe not for a single organization, but I also feel like part of the reason why there's this void is that I've also seen people try to come up through the ranks and going from particularly from being peer to manager, that can be a challenge that we in the industry have not reached down to help people. Like you, it comes naturally to, but I don't see much, when you have that phenomenal dental assistant that is now timed to run this is from like my chairside assistant ran my practices, like the whole clinical side, ran for one of the largest DSOs, the entire dental assisting side, just an exceptional human being, right? How can we take moderately exceptionally people or just great people or good people and help them make that leap? My guess is you probably because it comes so instinctively to you. There's a dental organization listening right now that goes, boy, there's that one clinician that just seems to get it. How can they help them lead and manage other people?
That has a lot to do with, like, mentorship as well. You want to basically really you want to mentor your peers, you do. You want to help them, you want to educate them, you wanna keep them informed, communicate with them. That informing and communicating is really the key, but also keeping them educated. Don't keep it from them. Allow them to spread their wings. Actually reach down in there and sometimes ask them questions. Ask them really what do they wanna do? Where do they see themselves in 5 I mean, I ask them all the time, "Where do you see yourselves in 5 years in our practice? Where do you see?" And someone say, "I'm still just wanna be a dental assistant." Fine, that's great. Another one that says, "Well, you know what? I would really like to do more." And I thought, "Okay, well, tell me a little bit more about what you would like to do." And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna keep you in the back of my mind and as I'm coming through, the next opportunity we have, would you be willing to come in and do some act some additional training? Would you like to go to some conferences with me? I could set up some training for you." And they're like, "Oh, I would love to do that." And I thought, "Okay, this is good." Then you have those, and then you have a clinician that is, would they like to be a partner? No, they don't want to be a partner. I just want to come in, an associate. I just want to work. I don't want to go home. I don't want to do anything. This is what I want. Then you have those who are like, "Oh no, Sheila, I really want to be a partner. I would like to have another office. Would you partner with us?" Would you? Those are things that okay, we're thinking here. So then this is able to enable us to grow and also to bring our teams up with it. Because honestly, I mean, if you really look at your group of your teams that work for you, there is so much talent is there. It may be hidden and it may be, I mean, I would sometimes I give the analogy of myself. I said, you know what? Here's a bucket of crabs. And you have all these crabs in that bucket. I said, and here am I. I said, you know what? I'm here down here and I want to be up there. This is where I want to be. And I am going to climb my way out of this bucket and I am going to be where I want to be. So you're climbing up, then somebody will slap you and push you right back down. But you're like, no, this is not going to be how this is. Then you have this other little crab that says, "Hey, I'm gonna help you." So this little crab helps you, so you get a little further up and you get a little further up, and this other crab says, "Hey, I wanna go with you. Let's go together." So here we go, we're back up at the top of the bucket, and then you make it another slap down, or you see the other person get slapped down, but then you make it to the top. So you're there. So now I'm here. So now I have to make some decisions for myself, but also look at all those people, these little crabs that were behind. There were some crabs there who wanted to be at the top. So let's help them get to the top. Don't squash them. Let's help them make it to the top because it will also make me stronger. It will make them stronger. Then it will make your entire organization stronger. So that is sort of an analogy that I think about is to help others you bring them up with you. Bring them up with you, train them, educate them, keep them informed, ask them about their ideas. They have great ideas. Great ideas. Let's take a look at those ideas and let's put those in our systems. Let's try it. Let's see. If it doesn't work, guess what? We'll just go back and do something else. But never say no to really anything. It's like, yes, let's evaluate this. Yes. Yes, we could help you with this. And yes, because if you answer with a yes, it's already a positive. But if you answer with a no, then it just shuts them down. So you want to bring your teams up at all times.
So I think that's a great analogy of, I think, the sort of of how we can help develop more leaders from within, like
Mhm.
elevating people from the clinical sort of the clinical environment up into to be leaders within and managers within DSOs, which I think that the entire industry and DSOs in general would benefit from that. Particularly in an environment like today where it seems like aggregation is less of a strategy, it's more organic growth.
Mhm.
Organic growth happens at the clinical level,
It
and that
does.
happens with the crabs that are wanting to
That's
get to the top of the
totally it.
bucket, right? Well,
Mhm.
Sheila, it's been amazing having you on the podcast, and your story is amazing. Where can people go to find more information?
You can go to you can go to the jettygroup.com. That is one of our other entities. And then also kdcsmiles.com. That is actually our website for our dental practices. We have all different types of dental practices. We're all pediatric and ortho, which they all have their own individually branded, but primarily I work out of those two. Most of the time, that's where all my emails go there, everything, but you could also send me an email at any time, and it's Sheila T at kennedydentaltx.com, and Sheila is spelled a little different. It is spelled Shelia, like Shelia, T as in Taylor, at kennedydentaltx.com. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
All
Appreciate it.
right. Thank you. This is great.